Okay. Yeah. So, because there is one more participant from Almaty who was not able to participate in our meeting, and I normally record this and then I will put it into YouTube with the access links. So I will send you all the access links, so you would have all the materials from the lessons on YouTube. Recently, I have had a little bit of problems doing that, so hopefully I'll do it today, if not just this weekend. So let's talk a little bit about IELTS in general. So we are going to be talking, as you know, about speaking part. And as you know, that I used to be an examiner. It was quite some time ago, so about 10 years ago, but I used to be examiner on the speaking part. And that's the qualification that you need to refresh every couple of years. And it wasn't my favorite bit to do. It was just filling in time. So I'm not doing that, but I have a lot of students who I help to get the speaking practice. So as you know, there are two types of IELTS, and one is academic, one is general training. So you'll get all those slides with the information later. We are going to be discussing the academic, the most popular bit. But I must say that in terms of speaking, they're pretty much the same. So even if any of you would need to take general training, that's usually if you're planning to immigrate. And if you're moving to Australia or New Zealand, you have to take this. So about Canada, I just don't know. But New Zealand, Australia, yes. UK, they say yes, you have to, but I know people who have moved here, who immigrated here, and who did need to pass that test, because we've got another test here. So then, you know that IELTS consists of 4 sections, and there is writing, listening, reading, and speaking. So we are doing speaking. So the exam time usually is 11-14 minutes, quite precise. And the part 1 is the easy one. We're not going to be practicing that as much. Well, we might if we decide we want to, but we'll be mostly practicing part 2 and with a prompt card. So after today's lesson, I will see the levels of people. And for those who are on a slightly lower level, I would be sending the cards in advance. And for those who are higher level, like I imagine Natalia is, so you would be just doing it, yeah, you would be doing it straight from the screen. So that would be a total surprise for you. So the part 2 is a card, and then part 3 are supporting questions to the card. Usually they're not given to you, so I will be showing them on the screen, but usually you only get part 2, and part 3 is up to the examiner. But if you practice enough of them, you could actually predict what the examiner might ask you. So next one. So in terms of part 2, what usually happens? So after you discussed with the examiner, hello, how are you, So then the examiner gives you the card, you look at the question, and then you have 1 minute to get ready. So you sit and concentrate. So it's just complete silence, because it's just you and the examiner. And you have a piece of paper, you have a pencil, you can take notes and think what you're going to say. So after 1 minute, precisely after 1 minute, we'll be doing that later today, of course, not that much, your next lesson, but after 1 minute, the examiner asks you to talk, and you are supposed to be able to talk for up to 2 minutes, as you could see here, 1 to 2 minutes. And this is exactly where we could see, like from our examiner's point of view, we could see how well you could speak, and if you find difficulties explaining something, if you could immediately find a word that would substitute the word, for example, you don't know. So it's fluency of the language. And if you're talking for too long, right after 2 minutes, the examiner stops you. It's just like precisely stops you. So, all right, yeah, that's enough, thank you. And if you didn't have enough, if you use too many words, you probably wouldn't really answer the questions. So it is quite important to take this note and say, okay, I'm going to talk about this, this, and this, and try to either speed you up or the opposite. You know, you just want to think, all right, so I don't have much to say. What could I, you know, you should think through what you're going to be talking about. And So, and then there is this discussion part with the questions that are normally a bit more like broader about what we've been discussing in part 2. So, and here also I would like, that's more teaching, more technical stuff, but this is how we mark it. So there are 4 criteria we pay attention. So the main thing on the higher levels is fluency and coherence. Coherence is very important. Coherence shows if we could make sense of what you're saying. So you might have all very bright ideas, but you wouldn't be able to explain them so that other people understand. Lexical resource is the words you're using. Are you using a lot of very, very simple words, or you can use more complicated words, more advanced words? So of course, grammar, the mistakes, that's there, of course, and pronunciation. In terms of pronunciation, is not that you should sound like BBC English. It's absolutely, it doesn't matter at all. It's just that your own language, here it's called L1, language 1, it's your mother tongue. So if it's too much between you and the person you're talking, and because of that, we don't understand you, or we have difficulties understanding you. So that's all about this technical bit. So now let's do, so this is it. So let's imagine we've already discussed who is who. And we're going to start with Natalia. So you've got, Natalia and Elena, you've got 1 minute. So you could think about it. I think Natalia is going to be first, and then it's going to be Elena, and then it's going to be Igor. And whilst ladies are thinking, Игорь, я вам задам вопросы. Насколько было понятно то, что я сказала? Рассказывала сейчас.
Ну, практически все понятно.
Супер, я очень рада.
Практически все, но вы говорите довольно-таки быстро.
Ну, я уже говорю, как говорю. Мы с вами, когда на уроке-то, я ж все-таки говорю с учеником. А здесь мы уже больше говорим. Ну, вот поэтому мне и показалось, что вам будет хорошо и то, и то. И вот у меня, вам уже вот нашлась компания в виде Нади, но она сегодня все-таки испугалась. Она решила, что она еще, она говорит, я в записи посмотрю. Она постеснялась с нами сегодня участвовать, а в понедельник она у нас будет с вами. So, okay, Natalia, shall we start? And sorry, before that, so I normally during the lessons I take notes. I won't be sending the notes today, most likely, because I don't have time. So please do write things you might need to write if there are new words. If I would mark something, so I might send you, might not. Probably I will send a few words into our Telegram chat. Okay, so Natalia, describe a house or apartment you would like to live in.
Well, my dream is to live in a country house. I guess I would like it to be not far from Moscow, in the Moscow region, like at about 50 kilometers away. Right now I'm living downtown in the center of Moscow, and I really like country lifestyle. I tried it. I was living in a country cottage last summer, and I really enjoyed that. I would like it to be not far from a river or a lake, and not far from the forest. To be able to swim, to collect mushrooms and berries, etc. I would like to have a small piece of land to make a garden, to do gardening there. I would like to live there with my family. Well, right now I'm a single mom, but I guess I would like to get married and live there happily with my husband and my kids. I would like to enjoy my life there. So in summer to to sunbathe and to swim, to read books, I guess to do some gardening, to breathe some fresh air and to enjoy nature.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. So, Elena.
Well, I would love to have a house in the UK. I love Devonshire, this area, because because of very beautiful, and family sisters of my husband, they live in there. And I would like to have house in countryside as well, not far away from river or lake. It's not far away from sort of village or city, so easy to buy food and to get to supermarkets. And I'd like to be able to do long walks around the beautiful English countryside and seaside, because nature always gives me this feeling of calm and purpose in my life. And at the moment, I would love to live in this beautiful house of my dream with my husband, because he is the only person I really care about now. And also, I got a few hobbies like drawing and reading and gardening. But unfortunately, I haven't got much time to do this at the moment. But in my dream life, in my ideal life, in this ideal house, I would like to give more time and attention to my hobbies.
Okay. All right. So, Igor, please. Oh, Han.
I would like to live in the center of Kiev. My flat would be on a high floor. It would be an apartment in a minimalist style with huge panoramic windows. I would like live there alone. Later, I would consider moving with my family to country house. It's all.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So I didn't tell you that it's going to be 2 minutes. Yeah. No, because I did, ladies, I did sense Igor knew what we would be talking today. So, because I knew he's probably a bit lower than you two. So, yeah. But yeah, I didn't tell you actually for about 2 minutes. Sorry. Forgot about it. So, yeah, I like the minimalist style. I like the center, and I liked high floor, and I love the bit of living there alone. You know, me having 3 children, I want to live alone. Absolutely. That's why I put the thumbs up. Okay, so very good. I think that everybody has done very well, and I think, Elena, I think you are right in terms of your pronunciation. There are a few things you should work on. That's what we discussed, because again, for other 2 people to understand. So I met Lena in person last week, so we discussed a little bit the pronunciation issues here in London, and yes, Natalia, I think for you it's more, we need to work more on broader vocabulary.
Yeah.
So just it was, you know, your topic, I think it was, yeah, you spoke at length, I would say, but the vocabulary was very simple, which is safe. Yes, so it's safe, yeah. But that's the teacher's thing. That's the teacher's thing, you know, just to say without mistakes as much as you possibly can. Yeah, but that's all, you know, that's just practice. Basically for everybody, it's practice. Igor, for you as well, I think it's practice not only to be able to say something, it's also to be able to say something what the examiner wants to hear from you. So that's another thing. So you started very well, just obviously needed a bit more. And what we have normally in a third part, once we've done, so we're going to be discussing various optional, whatever the examiner thinks. So let me open the questions, because I obviously prepared the questions because I'm not very. Natalia, do you think it's better to rent or buy a place to live in?
That depends on how long we would like to live there. If it's only for summer, like a summer cottage, it's better to rent it. But if we would like to move there, to stay there for the whole year, I think it's better to have a private house.
Okay, Elena, what do you think? Is it better to rent or buy a place?
Oh, it's interesting question. Actually, all my life I've been thinking it's better to have your own place. But now, seeing the world is so unpredictable and everything could change in a few days, I probably prefer just to rent the place.
Would you? Okay. Igor, what do you think? Better rent or buy?
I think it's better to rent a place to live, because it makes you free. You can live in different places.
Okay. Do you? Does any of you own where you live at the moment? Used to live at the moment. Do you own or do you rent?
I own.
Now?
Well, not now. Just before February.
No, I rent.
You
rent my flat.
Okay, so you rented, yeah, in the past too.
Rented, yeah.
Or I used to rent. I used to rent.
Yeah,
So I used to rent. Yeah. Okay. Because for me, always the same. I agree that I always used to think I want to own, and I think I don't want to buy anything anymore. I think just, and my husband disagrees and he says, you don't want to pay the landlord. And I say, well, look, I don't want to own, it's a headache. So, okay, that's one. So then, Natalia, how easy is it to find a place to live in your country?
I guess there are a lot of opportunities, especially now we have a lot of free places to rent, to buy, etc. We have a lot of construction. We have a lot of construction. Even in Moscow, it's really easy to buy or to choose a place, like to rent a place.
Okay.
So I guess there's no problem.
I think if we put as a goal, we could easily find place in Devonshire. But now we have this mortgage on place we are living at the moment, so might be some problems to move. Don't know.
Okay, Igor.
Husband.
Okay, we're not talking about now. Yes, where you understand. Yes, we're talking about normal life because that's exam.
It's very easy to find flat or house in our country. There are special people who help with find accommodation and offer you many options to choose from.
Do you know how you call those people? That's off top.
Real estate agents.
Yes, it could be real estate agents. It could be property agents in the UK, because the difference between these words, real estate and property. So if real estate is more American. So if you would say in America, you'd say I work in real estate, and in Britain you would say I work in property. So not in the properties, not in the property sector. I work in property. So I work in property. So yeah, the property agents, or just this, or you could say estate agents without adding real. And if you don't add real and you just say estate agents, then it sounds more British as well. And to Igor, I have said that to you ladies. I'm saying, so if you are using American words, you should use them all the way through. If you're using British words, you should use them all the way through. So popping in with one or the other one, it's not very nice. So try to be, if it's British, British, if it's American, American. I mean, but they should be consistent. Okay, so next question. Natalia, do you agree that there is a right age for young adults to stop living with their parents and to rent or buy something of their own?
Well, I guess as soon as you stop studying and start working, it's the time.
Elena?
I think it depends of the how to say the way the young person is. For some, for like me, I left home when I was 16, and for studying in Leningrad at this moment, but with financial help of my parents, and I think it was the best decision in my life. But now I think, yeah, I agree with Natalia. When a young person start to earn his own money, probably this time to move from parents' house.
Okay, Igor, what do you think? Is the right age for young people, not the right age?
I think you shouldn't live with your parents when you start study in university or something else.
How can you pay for your rent if you're only studying?
You have to work.
Which is difficult to do
Нет,
both.
общежитие. Я не знаю слова как общежитие.
Condominium.
Студентам.
Yeah, you can use
Students have condominium.
Condominiums. Yeah, so the students have condominiums. Yeah, okay. All right, because I think you should be kicked out immediately. Finish school, bye-bye. So at least that's what I'm going to do with my children. It's just, and then just Sunday lunch then. I mean, mommy, hello. Yeah, no, I think it's better for everybody. I think that you could probably move back in with your parents after you're 30 or 40. That's a different matter, but I think young people just out. Okay, Natalia, what options do you think are available? That we've pretty much answered that. What options are available for young couples looking for an accommodation in your country? Where would young couples live? What do you think? What would be their first home, for example, together?
They should rent a place together, or to find some other friends. Like I know someone, he's a French guy. He is renting a 5-room flat here in Moscow with lots of friends. Like, oh, it's crazy. There are about, I guess, maybe 10 people in total. Yeah, and they're fine. Like they share the rent. It's not really expensive. They have the same lifestyle. They are all young, and they are all I think they are all students. So they have a lot of common topics to discuss, etc.
Well, it's very common in the UK. So people, because the rents are very high. Well, not everywhere, but particularly in London areas or some other expensive counties. So it is quite expensive, and people do rent. I mean, you're lucky if you could just rent like 2-bedroom apartment with someone, but very often, yes, it's a big house with lots of people living in. Okay, so Elena?
I also think that young couples, they should start with renting before buying house, because I think it's for young couples, it's needs some time to see how relationship goals, and whether they really want to be together for quite a long time. Because buying house, have this own the property together, it's especially here, it's brings up so many problems in case of divorce. It's just crazy.
Yes, I know from you. I know.
Yeah.
Okay, Igor, what are the options available?
I don't understand this question.
So, what options are available? Какие есть возможности для молодых пар, которые ищут? Вот что они могут делать, где они могут снимать, покупать? Because what Elena answered, she didn't answer the questions at all, actually. So she wasn't, that's why probably you got confused. So what are the options for young people? What could they do? What would they rent?
They can live in dormitory, общежитие.
No, it's condominium still, condominium.
Condominium. It's
dormitory is in, it's sleeping arrangements at schools. Yes, so it's one room with lots of beds. So this is dormitory. So, you know, in boarding schools, that's a dormitory. And condominium is where you've got your room. Sorry to interrupt. Yeah.
It's cheap and не знаю, что еще.
Affordable. Вот здесь хорошо добавить слово. It's cheap and affordable. Affordable – это то, что вы себе можете позволить. Да? Это дешево, и вы себе это можете позволить. So cheap and affordable. Они очень часто идут вместе, вот прям в такой связке. So, it's cheap and affordable.
Can young people live in condominiums? Well, in England, for example?
We don't have such a thing here.
Yeah. Like in Russia, it's illegal.
But for us, it is exactly that. So, is it? No.
Well, I guess
in Russia, I think now everything is illegal. So better not get into that thing.
It's not illegal, but we have like guys' rooms and girls' rooms.
Oh,
like, they can't live together.
That's it. I think you're right. Yes, there is.
It's forbidden.
Male and female, yeah.
I know my friends, but many years ago, they be living in condominium for 10 years, and they got 3 kids during this time.
Yeah.
And the kids playing in the kitchen, communal kitchen.
Yeah.
They hid.
Well, I know my good friends, they spent, you know, I think that he was a pilot before he retired for about 15 years, and they traveled all over. So they started in East Germany, and then they lived in Ukraine, then they lived in South Russia before they actually managed to buy something. So they were living in those rooms that their work would give. So they would have 2 rooms in a big apartment, you know, but there was no option. So other people would be also kind of in the army. So yeah. Okay, and one more question. And Natalia, what do you think? Is there any pleasures in making a home for yourself?
Tons of them. You can create your own place to live using your own ideas, design ideas. You can work with a professional designer. You can show your own personal taste in everything. You can choose new pieces of furniture. I don't know, decorate the flat or the house with your own paintings, drawings, or your own photos. You can not plant, but I guess you can buy some pots with flowers, different plants. And yeah, well, I guess it's quite pleasant to start a new place to live.
Okay. Elena, what do you think? What are some of the pleasures in making your own home?
Yeah, I
We
think,
can't hear.
yeah, which Natalia already has mentioned quite a lot. And I also, well, which is for me probably the main pleasure, yeah, to do everything in a way I like, the wallpaper, the furniture, the bedding, well, no bedding actually, furniture, and all these small little things, how my husband called the knickknacks, knickknacks,
Mhm.
and which make the place a home. Yeah, and to express sort of, for me, it's sort of actually self-realization. Probably could be this is one of the ways of self-realization, to represent your inner world in material world and your surroundings. Maybe this is the main pleasure, to express yourself.
Okay, Igor. Huh?
I don't prepare this question.
But what do you think? What do you think?
I can't
Is there
answer.
pleasures? You can't answer at all. So, what, for example, if you, let's then talk about something else a little bit. So if you have, when you have your own place, I mean, when you rent a new place or when you buy, it doesn't matter, you move in. So do you like doing something with the space?
No,
Or
I didn't
you just,
I don't like doing something.
so, okay, then the answer should be like that. So you could, you know, there are two ways how we could answer questions. So one is, you know, to help, I'll use my fantasy and I will say something I don't think, but that sounds nice, would sound nice. And the other way, of course, is to say the truth and to say that actually, I don't find any pleasure in decorating my own space. I prefer, if I had money, I probably would prefer to have a good designer who will do me everything. If I don't have money, I'll just come to a place, I'll say, okay, I like it, but I'll take it as it is, and I wouldn't bother doing anything. So that is the answer as well. You know, you don't always need to agree that, oh yes, I love these things. No. So in terms of the answers, I think, Elena, yours was the most, you know, you answered the question. Natalia, I think you were a little, you talked about what you could do, but you didn't connect that these things that you could do them, that you like them. You know, the question was, what are the pleasures? And you say, oh, you could do this, or you could do this, or you could do that. I would say like, oh, that's great pleasure for me, because I love, I mean, it's very important where I live. It's very important to me what surrounds me. And you could do all sorts of things, and it always brings me in a good mood. So for example, I could do this, I could do this, I could do that. So that's just always listen to the question. Yeah, so listen to the question very attentively. What's in the question? Got to be in the answer. And Elena, in terms of these knickknacks, it's a word. It's not that how my husband calls them. It's a proper word.
What is it? What does it mean?
Безделушки.
Knickknacks.
Knickknacks. Knickknacks. Knickknacks.
I never heard from anybody else. I think this. I just believe it's only my husband's thing.
No. Knickknacks. Okay. Oh yes, and another thing is just when I laughed when I forgot. I took a note and I forgot to mention when you just started talking, Natalia, and I like this. Oh, what did you say about mushrooms? What do you do with them?
Collect, pick up.
Pick. Не pick up, pick. Pick up – это кого-то забрать или подобрать. Вот это pick up. А это mushroom picking. And it is, yes, I love mushroom picking. And it's, of course, it sounds totally Eastern European. You know, it's just only people from like, starting from Poland, I think, to the east.
That's what we are.
Yes, absolutely. And here in the UK, at some point, I think when there was a lot of people from Latvia, Lithuania, from Poland started coming to live in the UK about 10 years ago, probably. They suddenly said that there is hardly any mushrooms left in our forests. believe it or not. And there is an area here called New Forest, which is actually a very old forest, but it's called New Forest. And there was even a ban. So you no longer can go in New Forest area. I don't know, Elena, if you heard about that. You no longer can go to New Forest to pick up mushrooms. So even to pick up one, you can't. So that's legal case.
I picked quite a lot of mushrooms last 2 years. Our nature reserve. It was a few, probably 5-6 kilos of mushrooms. Yeah,
And
they're in the freezer. They're in the freezer. Yes, from last year. Yeah,
No,
very
it's
nice.
it's a lot in the area where we live. There's quite a lot of them as well. And I've got a neighbor here. She's actually from Ukraine, and she's been living here for 20 years, but she's the one, she always says, Mila, she's about 70. She says, shall we go mushroom picking? I said, no, thank you. Because I don't like mushroom picking, so I can't do that, but yeah. Okay, Igor, and do you go mushroom picking?
No, I don't like.
You don't like what?
No.
You don't like mushrooms, or you don't like the process of being in the forest?
I don't like a process picking mushrooms.
And do you do any fishing
I'm
or
just
hunting?
eating.
And any fishing or hunting?
Hunting, no. I think it's not a normal. If it's развлечение, забыл слово.
Entertainment. Mhm.
Entertainment. Fishing, yeah, it's sometimes I'm fishing.
I do fishing. So sometimes I do fishing.
I do, yeah.
Okay. All right. So I think we had a useful discussion. So so next our next meeting would be next Friday. So I will record this one and I will send the link to you guys. And I think in terms of time, I would prefer to keep it around this time, because it seems to be that Friday evening I might be busy, but now I'll have some children, so I will probably shift it 15 minutes here or there, but I will discuss with you like I did this time. And Igor, I shall see you and Nadia on Monday. And just do ask questions. You can ask me a question. You can ask, if you got the questions, you can always ask them in the chat. So it's better that everybody else could see them as well. You know, you could discuss things between yourselves, you know, it's chat for us, basically. Okay, so it was pleasure meeting you.
Yeah, thank
And
you.
yeah,
Thank you very much. Very useful, amazing. Just thank you.
All right, most welcome. Okay, glad you liked it. Okay, bye-bye then. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye, have a nice day.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.